What is the point of suffering? Not as a philosophical exercise, but for real. At some point, most of us hit a moment where something breaks and we generally don't know if there's a reason for it. We lose someone, something we've built falls apart. We watch people who did nothing wrong go through things that seem completely unfair. And the answers most of us has been given don't really help. Religion says trust God, it's part of the plan, but it doesn't show you the plan. Science says there is no point. The universe is indifferent, which is honest but leaves you with nothing to work with. What if there's a third option? Not faith, not nihilism, but an actual map, a structural description of why darkness exists, where we are in it, and where it leads. A Danish thinker named Martinus spent his life drawing this map. And once you see it, the suffering doesn't stop being painful, but it stops being meaningless. Sometimes life forces you to ask the big questions. This challenge explores a world picture where these answers actually hold together. Before we go to the map, we need to understand the principle underneath it. And you already know this principle, you lived it. Think about the last time you really appreciated warmth. Chances are you've just been cold. Think about how good sleep feels when you generally are exhausted. Think about how sweet food tastes when you are actually hungry. The pleasure is real, but it depends on the contrast. Without the contrast, the experience flattens out. Martinus calls this the contrast principle, and he says it isn't a quirk of human psychology. It's a structural feature of existence itself. Without contrast, there is no sensation. Without sensation, there is no experience. Without experience, there is no consciousness. And without consciousness, there is no life, there is nothing. In other words, darkness isn't an accident or a punishment. It's a necessary part of how experience works at all. This sounds abstract, but it becomes very concrete once you see the map it produces. So let's get into that. Martinus calls it the spiral circle, and the best way to understand it is to start small. You already live it every day. Morning, you wake up rested, ready, full of energy, hopefully. Evening, you're tired, you have used yourself up, you need to sleep. Night is not a failure of the day, it's what makes the next day possible. The cycle turns and you're restored. Scale it up one level, the year. Winter, cold, dark, contracted. Summer, warm, open, and alive. And crucially, you don't appreciate summer the same way if you haven't been through winter. The contrast does something. It creates a hunger, and hunger is what drives the turn. Martinus says the same principle runs through the whole of existence, not just days and years, but through the entire journey of a living being, across many lifetimes, through what he describes as six kingdoms. Six kingdoms are the mineral kingdom, the plant kingdom, the animal kingdom, the human kingdom, the wisdom kingdom, and the divine kingdom. And then the cycle begins again. Each kingdom has its purpose and its season, you can say. The animal kingdom is winter, the darkest part of the journey where egoism runs its course and suffering is at its peak. The human kingdom is spring, where true neighborly love is the foundation of existence. The wisdom kingdom is the summer and is the higher spiritual worlds. And right now, Martinus says, we are at the end of the animal kingdom. We are in the final stretch of winter, you can say. That's why the world looks the way it does. So where we actually are. This is the part that matters the most. We are near the end of winter. What does that actually mean? Martinus describes a mechanism called sult and metelse, or hunger and saturation. It works like this. You experience something fully over and over until you are completely saturated with it. When you are saturated, you stop wanting it. And when you stop wanting it, you begin to hunger for something different. That hunger is what drives you forward. The animal kingdom is built on egoism, looking out for yourself, your group, your tribe, at the expense of others. Martinus says we have been living this out for a very, very long time. We have learned through enormous amount of suffering exactly what happens when beings live this way. War, exploitation, cruelty, loneliness. We have experienced it so thoroughly that we are becoming saturated with it. We don't want it anymore. That's not weakness. That's the mechanism working exactly as it should. So the longing you feel for something more peaceful, more meaningful, more connected, that isn't naive. That isn't wishful thinking. According to Martinus, it is the cosmic engine of change activating. The hunger for something better is itself the sign that the spiral is turning. As Martinus wrote, the suffering beings, that means us, of the earth, are the goal of the divine world plan, not its casualties. The darkness is not proof that something has gone wrong. It is proof that we're in the part of the journey where we learn the hardest things. Knowing you're in the winter doesn't make winter warm, but it does mean you stop wondering whether spring is coming. That's what this map does. It doesn't remove the pain, it removes the meaninglessness. And those are two very different things. People can endure almost anything if it makes sense. What breaks people is not suffering itself, it's suffering that points nowhere. Martinus says it points somewhere, specifically towards the true human being, a creature capable of genuine neighborly love, living in peace, no longer needing darkness to learn from. That's where this is going. Not soon, not easily, but structurally inevitable, because the contrast principle demands it. The spiral turns. It has always turned. Every time it does, the beings who complete it came back carrying more understanding, more capacity, more love. It doesn't repeat, it builds, just like the day and the year. So the next time you ask what the point of suffering is, the Martinus is you're learning what life is not. You're learning it so thoroughly, so complete, that when you finally understand what life is, you will know it from the inside. Not as a belief, but as an experience. That will be the next video. How the hunger and saturation principle works in closer detail. And what it means for how you live now, in the middle of this winter, while the spiral is still turning. Thanks for watching. Please subscribe to the channel if you find this interesting or valuable in any way, and give the video a like. And if you have any questions or comments, please leave them below. Thank you for watching.